Let's play Glass Road 2-player walkthrough. In this video, we'll walk through how to play Glass Road. Stop it at any time and follow along yourself. First, set up the building board. There's a 1 to 3 player side and a 4-player side. Notice that each row has a different color for process buildings, immediate buildings, and bonus buildings. For each building type, there are regular buildings and introductory buildings. The introductory buildings have a wayside shrine in the upper right corner. When you're first starting to play the game, you should limit yourself to these type of tiles, but later on you can add in the regular tiles as well. Shuffle the building tiles and put them next to the building board. You can do it however you like, but I like to keep the introductory and regular tiles separate and just draw them however I want. Draw from the building tiles and populate the building board. This should be centrally located to give all players easy access. Now, give each player their own landscape board. Notice that there are 2 indentations on the right. On the left-hand side are the basic victory points. In the middle of the board are the pictures of the landscape tiles. Each player should populate their own board with the appropriate landscape tiles. Place the board in front of each player. Place your production wheels to the left of the building board. See the instructions for how to construct your production wheels. As you set up the production wheels, notice that there's a colored triangle on each of the dials, a green one for the glass and a red one for brick. So set it so that the colored triangle is pointing straight up. Now populate the production wheels with the basic resources based upon the icons shown on the wheels. For all versions except for the solo version, choose a starting player at random and give them the starting player goblet. Then have each player select their own deck of specialist cards. Now you're ready to play, so let's walk through that. No matter how many players are playing, the first step of the game is to look at the building board and figure out what your strategy will be. Don't worry, you'll probably have to change it. But the basic idea is to try to get as many points as you can. The process tiles or buildings allow you to do these actions at any time. So typically you'll take one resource and convert it into another resource. The immediate buildings allow you to do a one-time action immediately when you place the tile down. The last or bonus buildings just give you victory points as they describe on the tile itself. The solo, 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player variants differ in how you play the cards, not in what the cards can do. We'll explain that later when we talk about playing the cards. Each of the specialist cards have different actions that they can do, and they're typically resource conversion. Each specialist card will have an action on top and an action on bottom. We'll describe that more later. Some of the specialists have a cost associated with it. In this case, we will have to remove a forest tile, and then we can either get 2 coal or 2 food. This specialist has no cost associated with it. On the top action, you can get a grove tile and a wood, or you can get 1 food per grove tile or 1 wood per grove tile. One point to be aware of is if you play a specialist that has a cost and you're able to play both abilities, you don't pay the cost twice. You only play it once. The 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player variants of Glass Road are all composed of 4 building periods. The game is over at the end of the 4th building period. At the beginning of each building period, pass the starting goblet to the next player. Make sure that the building board is fully populated, and each player should choose 5 cards from their 15 specialists. Once you've chosen your 5 specialists, put the remaining specialists to the side. They will not be used during this building period. You will only use those 5 cards that you had chosen during this period. These cards compose your hand. At the end of each round, pass the starting player goblet to the next player. Next, repopulate the building board as appropriate. In this example, we'll walk through how cards are played in the 2-player variant. In this example, the red player is the starting player. The red and green player have both chose their 5 specialist cards, And since the red player is the starting player, they will choose any one of their starting cards or their specialist cards and play it face up. They don't draw it at random. They look at it and decide which one they would like to play first. The green player then must look through their hand of cards and see if they have the same specialist. If they do, they must play that card, unless the indentation slots, both of them, are filled up on their landscape board. In this case, the green player does not have a card matching the water carrier. So the red player gets to play both abilities of the water carrier. They can then discard that card. Now it's the green player's turn to choose a card and place it face up. They decide to play the Forest Manager. The red player then has to look through his hand and see if they have the Forest Manager. Since they do, they must play that card, and they will place it in the first open indentation spot in their landscape board. The green player, because they place the card face down, does not put their specialist in their indentation spot. However, since both players have matching specialists, they can only play one of the abilities on their card. Both of them play one ability, and each one can choose whichever ability they want. The red player could choose to play the top one, and the green player could choose to play the bottom one. If you have those open indentation spots, you do have to play the card, but you don't actually have to do these abilities. You can choose to do nothing. Once both the green player and the red player have resolved their specialist cards, the green player would discard his card because it's not part of the indentation spot, but the red player keeps that card in the indentation spot there for reference. Now it's back to the red player's turn to choose a card and put it face up. You then continue resolving the specialist cards in this manner until one player is out of cards. When any one of the players is out of cards, that building period ends. And that's how you play the cards in the two-player variant of Glass Road. And that's the basics of how to play Glass Road. Of course, the fun is figuring out which buildings you want to build and which specialists to use. But at the very end, you just total up the points based upon what the building tiles say. I hope this video was helpful. Enjoy playing Glass Road.